A split-second shot there of the former president arriving at Trump Tower just last hour. He'll be in court tomorrow, and his lawyers do not want the media to broadcast his arraignment. They worry it will create a circus-like atmosphere. Well, in the middle of all of that, the CBC's Katie Simpson, she is outside Trump Tower in New York City. So, Katie, what is it like there?
Well, if they're trying to prevent it becoming a circus-like atmosphere, I'd like to welcome them out to Fifth Avenue. It is a circus-like atmosphere, I would very much say. You've got a handful of Trump supporters. They have flags, they have signs. They're cheering on the former president when he arrived here at Trump Tower just a short time ago. And then you've got curious onlookers, tourists stopping by to check out what all the buzz is about down here. And of course, there's dozens and dozens and dozens of journalists, so many that they've sort of been corralled off into one area. Police had to set up barricades there, and barricades are set up sort of all around Trump Tower in order for the former president to be able to safely get out of his motorcade and into his Manhattan apartment. It has been quite a wild 24 hours. Donald Trump leaving Mar-a-Lago earlier today, being cheered on by supporters on the highway who gathered to see his motorcade. Of course, Donald Trump is arguing that this is all political, that he is the victim of a witch hunt. His lawyers calling the charges, which no one has actually seen just yet, they are under seal, but preemptively calling them garbage, saying that it's justified that Donald Trump has been attacking the judge who's overseeing this case on social media. So Donald Trump is doing exactly what Donald Trump does. He's lashing out, attacking his opponents, whether they are real opponents or perceived opponents. That is what Donald Trump does. But again, in this situation, whether that's going to help him or whether that's going to hurt him, this is untested before, because we've never seen Donald Trump actually meet this moment before. This is the first time a former U.S. president has faced these kinds of charges. So tomorrow will be a moment for the history books. The chaos we saw outside of Trump Tower here today is expected to be just a little taste of what we'll see outside the Lower Manhattan courtroom tomorrow, the courthouse tomorrow, where, again, there is a lot of security. Police are very visible around there. There are barricades around the building. And we are expecting some Trump supporters to show up and demonstrate there. However, all of the demonstrations we've seen in New York City so far, they have been small and they've been peaceful.
Okay, well, that's a good sign, at least in terms of holding public order. But procedurally and legally, Katie, what happens next? He's in New York tonight, but he goes to court tomorrow.
So at last check, Donald Trump's lawyers were saying some of the details were still being finalized. We know that Donald Trump will leave here, Trump Tower, and head down to that courthouse in Lower Manhattan. When he's down there, he will be guarded by the Secret Service, who will be with him through every step of this process. And of course, that is something that has never happened before. Donald Trump is expected to be fingerprinted. He's expected to have to give some sort of DNA swab, like a cheek kind of swab thing. There had still been questions about whether he will be photographed. In New York State, they don't actually give out those photograph mugshots. So it's unclear if they're A, even going to take one, or B, whether they would release one. There is an argument underway right now by a number of U.S. media outlets to get cameras inside the courthouse so that they can actually see what's going on, given that this is a historic moment. So that will still needs to be sorted out before tomorrow. Apparently, according to reports down here, the judge who is presiding over this case has not been in favor of allowing cameras in the past, in previous circumstances. But given the unprecedented nature of what's happening right now, that might be different. So we're still waiting to find that out. It's not expected the former president will be handcuffed when he is in court tomorrow or taking part in this procedure. And then once it is done, he will be released and he'll be getting on his private plane heading back down to Florida, where tomorrow evening he will be delivering a speech from his Mar-a-Lago property in Florida. So there's a lot going to happen tomorrow. If the chaos that we've seen today is any indication, it's likely going to intensify. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's a noted conspiracy theorist and now powerful lawmaker, she is expected to protest outside the Manhattan courthouse. She's saying it's going to be peaceful. However, we did see Donald Trump call for protests, and we did see Donald Trump suggest that there could be violence if he is indicted. After what happened on January 6th, everyone has to take those kinds of statements very seriously. Police in New York say they're not concerned. There's no specific credible threat that they're aware of. They've increased their visibility on the streets. It's certainly noticeable when you're around any of the locations where these major events are happening. So for now, while there is a bit of chaos, things seem to be in hand for what is going to be an unprecedented day tomorrow.
All right, Katie, thank you so much. That's the CBC's Katie Simpson in New York.